Let's talk husbands. Let's discuss one husband in particular. In November last year, so I think around the 11th of November last year, 2020, Sydney-sider Melissa Caddick was being raided by the Australian Securities Investment Commission and investigated by the Australian Federal Police, so the ASIC and the AFP. Why? Well, Melissa had been operating illegally as a financial advisor, and some would describe what she was doing as running a Ponzi type scheme, whereby she would take money, sometimes large lump sums, as great as $5 million. She would take this money as investment from clients, friends sometimes, and pretend to work her financial magic and then give them back an amazing profit from monies she took from other clients, perhaps people that had been given a really good who had given her a great reference or something, because it appeared that she was a financial whiz. And she wasn't using her own financial advisor's license, so this is fraudulent, this is illegal. But, it said that she has fleeced people out of millions. Some people that really gave her everything they'd worked for their whole lives. And, she's ruined many people's lives. Let's just leave it at that. And complaints were made. I theorize that maybe during Clusterfuck 19, as we went through 2020, people started to think, well, I need to have my funds at the ready. I need to remove them out of my investments and into just, my bank where I can access it. Maybe people were getting concerned about things. This is fair enough. And this is, maybe prompted, people to want their money. She hasn't been able to pay it or hasn't paid it, and she's been investigated because they've made complaints. So her home in Dover Heights got raided. This is where she operated from, was a multi-million-dollar home on the cliff tops of Sydney's inner east, just north of Bondi Beach, the famous Bondi Beach. And they took all sorts of things. They were taking all sorts of records, electronic and otherwise. They took the family's home security system. They took, all sorts of data, phones, computers, everything, okay? Now, they then gave her a date to appear in court. And why wasn't the AFP keeping their eyes on Melissa Caddick? Because she was an obvious flight risk. They took not one passport off her, but several. Now, this might mean that you could think, well, she surely has no more. But who's to say how many passports Melissa Caddick actually had at her disposal? Who knows what she was really shelling out way too much money for when she's purchasing all that fugly jewellery, for example. So before she can appear in court, the day before, there's a slamming of the door at 5:30 in the morning. Her poor teenage son has to report this to the police when he's questioned. Oh, well, I heard the door slam. I thought Mum was going for her usual run around the suburb. So, then we're supposed to think, well, Melissa was there overnight. She has left in the morning for a run. She had every intention of returning to the home, appearing in court, getting the charges and facing them. So did she leave this morning? Was she hidden somewhere in the home? Anthony Colletti, her husband, turned up in court and only then reported her missing. So, was he giving the impression of giving her a head start? Was he giving her a head start? Okay, what I'm getting at here is, okay, she could have left in the bed of his car. She could have been hidden in the house. She could have left the night before. Anyone could have slammed that door. Sure, Melissa might have as well. Anthony Colletti might have as well. Or maybe they didn't even hear it. But, the house should have been being surveilled. She should have been under surveillance. Anyway, so what I'm getting at here and why I wanted to talk about husbands is, what sort of husband do you think Anthony Colletti is to Melissa Caddick? And what sort of relationship did they have? And how much trust was between them? So, Anthony Colletti, yes, I'm judging the book by the cover here. This is just a little bit of a chat and it's an opinion piece. So, obviously I don't know Anthony Colletti personally, but he seems to me like he might be a bit of a Fairweather friend, and he was in it for the glamour and the glitz and the wonderful lifestyle that Melissa's thieving little ways were providing to him. He had a great life. It was a jet-setting life. He could fulfill his skater boy dreams. He could have beautiful possessions like very expensive cars, $300,000 cars. He could eat at the finest restaurants. He lived a very glamorous life. Okay, now let's imagine Melissa Caddick. She wasn't having these sorts of troubles, and let's just say she was a successful business person because she was talented and above board and made money within the law. Let's just imagine that for a minute. And imagine that tragically, perhaps when they're driving in one of his Audis, that they have a car accident and she becomes a quadriplegic. Do you think that Anthony Colletti is hanging around to coordinate therapy, to advocate for Melissa, to manage her medications, her pain management and pain therapy, to manage her psychological needs, to manage just her basic physical needs, to be her carer and her support system in that situation? Do you think so? I don't think so. And I just relate that to, well, do I think he would want to be Melissa Caddick's support system through essentially what might be the same thing, a devastating terminal illness such as being charged with massive fraud, requiring support to have, teams of lawyers, advocates, services, etc., all the time and energy and effort, the total change in lifestyle, the fact that his lifestyle ends then and it becomes all about, predominantly about Melissa and, giving back in that way and showing his, his steadfastness, his love. And, do you think he'd do it? Now, not everyone can cope with this. This is true, right? And, I'm not judging people that can't stick it out because, we don't know everyone's situations. But I think you understand metaphorically what I'm saying here is, it's kind of the similar situation where, Anthony's lifestyle was over, Melissa's crashed and burned, and shit's getting serious. He's going to be living a life as a completely different person, basically. He doesn't have the freedoms and the all of the trappings of wealth that he now has, because his life will be consumed with Melissa's situation and in working hard to support her and make sure she gets what she needs and fighting for her and putting her needs well before his own, etc. It's not just about enjoying wonderful and exciting events together, having amazing life experiences, skiing in Aspen, driving great cars, living the skater boy life with his young, beautiful male friends. And, maybe he'd have to go back to giving Joe Bailey blowouts to Rose Bay socialites. So, I don't think this is something that Anthony Colletti signed up for. I don't think this is their agreement. Now, what do you think the trust was like between Melissa and Anthony? Do you think Melissa really thought that she had his loyalty? To what degree? I mean, she's very savvy, and look at what she has had the front to do. So is she savvy enough to realize that there's only so far I should take my relationship with Anthony? What do you think? Do you think that she trusted Anthony with any plans that she was making over the months, or even if there were some that she made over the years in case the shit hit the fan? Do you think he knows where she was stashing the cash? Do you think he knows where she was planning on going and how and who she would utilize? Yeah. So do you think that it's easier for Anthony if Melissa just disappears? And do you think that at some point Anthony might want to use her methodology and her resources that she set up to disappear? Do you think she shared them with her? Do you think Melissa shared these details with Anthony? And might he be tempted? I mean, I don't know. Do you look at him and think, yeah, you're capable of getting this done and taking her body somewhere, and is he that sly and slick, or is he just too readable? And I don't know. Would he need help? He'd need help, wouldn't he? I reckon I don't think he could do it. I don't know what type of balls has Anthony Colletti got? Okay. Yeah. Would he do this, do you think? Or is he just really in the dark? Was he completely just in the moment all the time, not really has he been as caught off guard as it might be possible to be? Was he caught off guard when the shit hit the fan? How open has Melissa been with him about everything? So I don't know. I mean, I'm talking about this because we're being told that, oh no, Melissa, no reason to think she's dead. She's around. We just got to find her. Come on home, Melissa. Everything's going to be all right. It's all taken care of, as Anthony Colletti said. I mean, really? Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think it's his bag. I really don't think it's his bag to support Melissa through this. This wasn't their arrangement. This wasn't the deal. This wasn't what he married for, Yeah. I mean, she really could spend money, right? And she liked ostentatious things. She was new money, and this often can mean maybe no taste and not really understanding. Let's just say people can get really ripped off. They love how much things cost, and they might not be that educated on what quality really is. You hear this term stealth wealth, and often some of the richest people, they're just stealthily wealthy. They're not ostentatious or brassy or brash, but everything is the right sort of quality, and they really understand things, and there's certain things they don't spend money on, or they do, or you just wouldn't really. Yeah, they're not driving around looking really flashy, you know. But they know how to enjoy life, and there's a subtlety and a grace to some people, and that's something that Melissa and Anthony didn't seem to express. And Melissa is very fond of all the finest jewels and things like this, right? And I mean, that $250,000 necklace that she wears, it's pretty fugly, okay? Just not to my taste. You may like things like that, but it's pretty fugly, and I think it reflects her, actually. So, you know, what is she throwing these hundreds of thousands of dollars on? Is she, you know, people are happy to take her money, aren't they? But, you know, that brings me to thinking about, well, who is taking her money and what for? And is it really about an exchange for these ugly jewels? Some of them are ugly. Or, you know, whatever else that she was throwing her cash on, because she didn't pick up the last jewelry item that she purchased, and she knew she was being investigated. So, you know, is this some sort of money laundering, or is this some way of getting money? Why? Because, you know, she's got some sort of, there's some warped loyalty between vendors. I don't want to be casting shade on anyone in particular. I know there's some very exclusive companies involved here that, you know, are operating in a perfectly fine manner. But, you know, who knows? I'm just asking, you know, in theory, could it be that, you know, this is how she's moved some money into certain places? Is this how she's gotten services or goods that she actually needs? Contacts, anything like that? Yeah. It's a real tragedy for her son, because, you know, we don't know what he thinks or knows, but regardless, I mean, what a whole pile of shit to dump on the shoulders of a 13, 14, 15-year-old boy, you know, a young man at a very tender time of life, and look what he's left with. So, you know, and Anthony, it seems, using this boy to make a money grab, to say, well, I need, you know, money. We need to live in this sort of home. We've got these sort of bills to pay, you know, to the extravagant tune of thousands and thousands a week. And, you know, they really don't need that to live on. I mean, they have struck hard times. It's got to be hard, but also it has to be realistic that he's not living in the manner that he's accustomed to. That was it wasn't a lifestyle supported by funds that were gained honestly, and he shouldn't expect to have that type of lifestyle. Anyway, yeah, so do you think, how do you think Anthony really would have acted? What do you think the relationship is really like? You know, was he truly going to support Melissa through this? And how would he really react? Would he just react by saying, look, I'm out of here. I don't agree with what you've done. I can't love you through this. You're awful. I had no idea. You know, would he just do that and walk away and try to build his life? Or would he want to save himself if he was complicit, and also then have access to her escape plan? I don't know. I'm a bit sus, just saying.